If you're an online language teacher teaching 7 to 10 classes a day, creating an online course seems like your best option. You're desperate and exhausted. You need a solution. You feel like you don't have any other option. That makes your decision potentially reckless. Now, before you invest thousands of dollars into an online course that promises that you are going to sell courses in your sleep, I want you to take a breath, look at your calendar, and answer the following questions honestly. Do I have enough time to record an online course? Do I have enough time to promote and sell it? Do I have enough time to build an audience? Do I have enough time to learn the skills necessary for me to do all of the above? If your answer is not really, well, I'm glad you're here, because today I'm going to share with you one doable option that you can offer to your students today that will clear out your calendar and help you retain the money that you have been getting through one-to-one classes. Now, I want you to watch this video till the end because I want to share with you how you can put everything that you will have heard today into action. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Elena Mutonono, and in the past 10 years, I have been helping online language teachers move away from exhausting and burnout-inducing one-to-one classes into a sustainable format. I talk about that in my 3-part masterclass where I share my own story and experiences. And if you need more support, you can always reach out and join my community, the Smart Teachers Library, that opens soon. So let's talk about the issue at hand. You're tired and exhausted from 7 to 10 classes a day. You want to take a break, but every day without classes means every day without income. You can't afford to get sick. You want to have kids, but you can't start a family because this is just too stifling, and the uncertainty makes you feel like you need to quickly do something about it. Now, people tell you that online teaching is so amazing. You can travel anywhere with your laptop, and sure, you can use your laptop anywhere you go, but I would rather climb the Alps than look at them through my window while at the same time teaching somebody in front of the screen the things that are so uninspiring, like present perfect tense. Of course, you can dream about getting out of this predicament, and an online course sounds like an appealing idea until you pay $1,000 for a course and you discover that you have very little support, and then the people that are offering the support know absolutely nothing about the online language teaching industry. I once enrolled in a course where the person that was teaching me was doubting that an online language teaching industry is big enough to actually build a business on. This sounds like a nightmare, but I went through this nightmare, and I hear about it every single week when I sit down with online language teachers doing their business audit, which I offer from time to time to those who are subscribed to my newsletter. You can check out the link in the description. I remember thinking at the time when I was going through this really difficult process, how wonderful would it be if I could just inspire my students to do the work, and that I could mentor them how to do that, how to improve their speaking skills, which is what they came to me for the most part. And if I could just retain that level of income. That sounded like an impossible idea, and here we are. 10 years later, I'm living in that idea, and I have coached hundreds of teachers how to do that. When I was trying to come up with a solution, the idea of voice chats came to me. Now, it was a very simple idea that came from my own experience learning English using tape recorders. Do you remember cassette tapes? This is what I was using to improve my speaking. I would record myself over and over again and then listen and correct my own mistakes and do it again and again. So I knew enough to say, this is possible for my students. The next thing, I had to come up with a plan. I had to figure out how to convince my students to give it a try. And this is where I hear from teachers all the time. Well, yes, you live in the United States, and in the United States, people really know how to use voice chats. Friends, when you teach online, you are not confined to one country. And the fact that you are in this country does not mean that people have their own mindset already made about this specific format of teaching. Teaching through voice chats is different, but it has been here for a long time. I mean, voice chats have been with us for over 10 years. And if you are able to explain to your students and show to them the value of this format, there will be no questions. Ultimately, they're not interested in just sitting down with you and chewing the fat for several years in a row. They're interested in getting results, in speaking with more fluency and accuracy, and you will be the one to offer it to them. So the way I went about it is I looked through all my students' rosters and took note of all the students whose language skills had plateaued. All those students who had come to treat me as their personal therapist or babysitter, they had to make a tough choice. Either we switched and they started to practice for real using voice chats, or I actually didn't have a way of thinking about what's going to happen with the or. So I was focusing only on the fact that they needed to practice. There was one student at the time that I decided to make that offer to. He was motivated to improve his speaking skills to prepare for his exam. We had spent 8 months working on exam preparation. One of the things that was really difficult for him was doing his homework. He would come unprepared and we would spend our time pretty much going over the same thing over and over again. And his progress, yes, he kept moving forward, but the progress was very slow. And that kind of practice wasn't enough. And we met and talked, and my pitch was simple. First of all, I told him, you and I know that speaking and improving speaking is really important for you because you want to get a higher score and you want to immigrate. Now, I see that when you come to classes, you're not exactly ready, and so your progress is not as fast. Now, I'm going to try out a different approach, and you need to trust me on this. I'm going to try it for the next month, and during the next month, we're not going to meet face-to-face. I'm just going to send you micro tasks 2 or 3 times a week, and you will have to record yourself, and I will give you feedback. You will listen to my feedback and make changes. At the end of the month, we will meet for a 20-minute session and you will give me your feedback. Now, we had a deal. He was willing to pay me the same amount of money because he truly wanted to get results. And he knew that the past 8 months did not really move him forward as fast. For details of what I included in this program, you can check out my masterclass. But 3 weeks later, we sat down for a conversation and he told me that he wanted to continue working like that. After 2 months, he booked his test and he got highest scores, not just in speaking, but also in listening. Listening to all of that feedback that I gave him the confidence. And he told me that he felt a lot of ease taking the test this time. After that experience, I started offering asynchronous programs, voice chat based programs, Google Docs programs for people that wanted to improve their writing as a default option. Some people said they didn't want to continue like that and they were willing to pay me more for one-to-ones. That was a double win. Some people said it wasn't going to work for them. And the majority of people said that this is exactly the format that they enjoyed and it fit their lifestyle. With each student that I was getting was moving away from one-to-one classes, I had more time, I retained my income, and I was able to invest this time into learning, coaching, getting coached, creating new courses, offering new courses, and getting a lot of feedback by teaching in a variety of formats, not just in individual programs, but in group programs as well. I learned how to market, how to sell, how to create content that is crunchy, not the boring 5 tips this and word of the day that. And this is how I started the community where I now teach other online language teachers how to do the same. One of the clients that I worked with is the owner of Your Best French. Her name is Aurélie. Last year we started working with her. She had a community on Instagram of over 100,000 followers. At the same time, because she was so tied up with one-to-one classes, she had 0 time to create an online course that she could offer to her large audience. Before she created an online course, before she even came up with a concept, she had to figure out what to do with her calendar. We started cleaning out her calendar, and she began offering different types of formats to her students. Voice chat based format is just one of them. There are many, many others. Over time, she was able to reduce her load while keeping the same revenue. And that gave her the time and the clarity to create a course and launch it 3 times and enroll hundreds of new students into this course, offering them support through voice chat communication. Another library member, Petra, is a Hungarian teacher, and she started out by offering so many classes. She barely had any time, and on top of all those classes, she was trying to create materials that would help her students improve their reading skills. Now, she had a really difficult way of bringing those two together. The one-to-one students were disconnected from the materials she was creating, and she had started Patreon, but it just added more hours to her already busy schedule. As she joined the library and learned about different ways of teaching online, different ways of thinking, different ways of delivering. There's a lot of mindset shifts that need to happen. The permission that we need to give ourselves to let go of over-delivering and trying to prove that we're good enough teachers. So as she was working through that in a matter of several years, she was able to completely transition out of one-to-one classes. And now she's running sustainable business using Patreon and her products as the foundation of her offers. By the way, I interviewed these 2 teachers on my Online Bound podcast, and I am including the links to each individual episode in the description. Now, one thing these people understood is that before they created any courses or anything sustainable, they had to prepare the foundation. And the foundation for it is clearing the schedule and making your calendar open as possible. That allowed them to move towards greater sustainability. What about you? Are you ready to make sustainable teaching your priority? If so, I'm offering a free class next week on how to teach through voice chats and Google Docs. The link is below in the description. That's it for today. I hope you like and subscribe, because there's definitely not enough of this type of content around the internet. Let me know in the comments, have you tried using voice chats? What worked and what didn't work for you?